Welcome back to Paul standing in a street somewhere different, and here we are.
Yeah.
We're
Scooters there, Brad. A lot of scooters.
a lot of scooters, a lot of where. Well, you're in Barcelona, but where are you exactly?
I'm over by the hotel now.
Hmm.
I don't have to describe that. It's the
Near a hotel.
yeah. There you go.
There you go. Well, we'll keep this short because you only have so much blood in your arm. But how was the event yesterday? Obviously, you were there in person.
Yeah, trying to justify why I came to Barcelona for this event, but honestly, well, no. Well, let's put it this way. So, had this been in Seattle,
Hmm.
right? I would have gone.
Yeah.
The flight would have been an hour to 2 hours less, I guess. It would have been a comparable price. Honestly, it wasn't that expensive. Um, I guess I guess the reason I asked that up front is just that uh, the disappointment I have is only that we didn't get to play with this thing.
Mm.
And I talked to, and I have to say, the device itself, I'm actually, I mean, as excited as I can be about something that I'm not really ever going to use directly anytime soon, right? It's not a
Right.
consumer product. I still think that they're on to something with this product. Um, and I think the new gen looks great,
Hmm.
but um, we never got we didn't get to use it yet, so I don't know. I can't tell you that the field of view is better, or that it's more comfortable, or that it's lighter.
Yeah.
I've only seen it. Um, so I talked to Frank Shaw. He said we would be able to play with this thing really soon, and I said, "Does that mean by build?" He said, "Oh, definitely."
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like there weren't really any major surprises, mostly because this wasn't a brand new reveal. This was, hey, we have Gen 1,
Yeah,
we're going to make Gen 2 a whole hell of a lot better. We're going to lower the price
mhm.
and we're hoping to sell it more to the same customers.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I don't believe they ever mentioned Snapdragon during the presentation.
No, they didn't. It is in the spec sheet though. It's a Snapdragon 850.
Yeah,
Did they tell you the battery life? Have you seen that?
no.
2 to 3
What is it?
hours.
What was it before?
I don't know what it was before, but it wasn't anything staggering. So I mean, it's this is not something, and you begin to understand why this is not a consumer device. 2 to 3 hours is not long enough. Paul is not going to be walking down the streets of Barcelona with a HoloLens on his head yet. It's not there.
Yeah, I'd look like even more of a jackass if I had that thing on my head. I'm
Yeah,
still
which
getting
we didn't
looks.
think was possible, but here we are.
What don't people do this here?
I mean, it looks like a neat device. I mean, you can see it back here.
Yeah,
They made some good ergonomic improvements with the visor flipping up, and it's a good Gen 2. $3,500, so it's not cheap. It's not for you. There is no developer edition either. This is just
right.
you go buy it. I mean, that's it.
I think that's the deal. It's matured.
Hmm.
It's improved. It does, like I said, it looks great for what
Yeah.
it is. I think the really smart thing is they tied it into everything else they're doing.
Yep.
I wrote a piece today kind of about the AI accessibility. I'm forgetting everything now. The openness, etc.
Hmm.
It kind of fits into Microsoft. Before it seemed like a weird research project. Not
Yep.
clear why we released it in that condition.
Hmm.
And I think with this version, it's starting to, you know, you can see what uses it's had,
Yep.
and they've kind of adapted it, understanding that's what the market is.
Hmm. Yeah.
Interesting. Also, there was what's your take on the Azure Connect device?
Yeah. So they announced, I believe, that thing at not Build, but Ignite. They talked about this sensor a little bit. They didn't call it Azure
Yeah,
Connect, but it's
right,
about $399. This thing actually looks pretty interesting based on the use cases that. It's going down that same avenue of the original Connect that, it's a corporate device. They're not even saying
right.
this is a gaming thing. They demonstrate it showing it off in a hospital detecting falls, which is the
Yeah.
right use of that technology. It's, again, Microsoft saying this is, thank goodness they're not bundling it with the Xbox anymore. Uh,
Well, there was some stuff about HoloLens maybe being used in like remote. surgeries or something. And I was like,
Yeah.
you got to be kidding me. I mean, this device, which is obviously a different device, but
Hmm.
this medical application is at least believable. You
Yeah.
know, doesn't require the high level of precision.
Hmm.
You know, say as a surgery or whatever. So yeah, I thought interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, it's that interesting connection of Microsoft trying to bridge the gap between AI as software and AI as hardware, or ML, whatever you want to call it. It's that, right? They needed something, a physical component that they can say, hey, go put this there, and then you can use this back end infrastructure.
Yeah, if only we had something that was like cameras with 3D sensing or something. Oh
Yeah,
wait, we do.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
So I don't know. HoloLens 2, you can go pre-order it now if you really want. If that's your, if you've been holding
Yeah,
off on buying a HoloLens, you can now buy one for 3,500 smackaroos and get to play with it to your heart's
yeah,
content with Microsoft Dynamics 365. And
right, right.
the one thing that somebody pointed out though, and this is somewhat interesting, and it just shows that this is not a consumer. They didn't show Minecraft or anything like that at all. Remember the original one? They showed
Yeah.
Minecraft and then some
Oh.
like door busting game or whatever it was.
It was the alien
Yeah.
robot things coming through the wall.
Yep.
So yeah, and by the way, that was actually pretty late in the game too. That was right. That was cheers. My phone is glitched.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah, I can't. The app won't go full screen. Well, we're just going to worry about that later. So yeah, as you were saying, I mean, the original HoloLens over the course of its lifetime, when they would bring it out on stage, they always
Hmm.
had these kind of gaming applications, and I don't think the point was to push it as a gaming device or whatever, but
Yep.
more just to kind of say like this is kind of a cool way to keep people interested in the capabilities.
Yep.
The big difference now is they have examples of real world uses of this
Yeah.
thing, right?
That's
They were
true.
able to bring up partners that are using it. There's some truly exciting real world stuff happening, and so they can stop. I don't want to say they were pretending; it's not fair, but I think they were just doing that as a hook to keep
Hmm.
people interested. Whereas today it isn't necessarily required.
Yeah.
By the way, we should not let this moment pass without mentioning the absolute insanity of them. Speaking of games, bringing out
Oh
Eric.
yeah. You
Is
you
it Eric
just
Sweeney?
cut out there for I'm assuming you're saying you were talking about Mr. Sweeney coming out on
Yeah.
stage.
Part of their openness pledge with the new HoloLens is they've created a store model that he approves of. Now,
Yeah.
he's an insane person, which you could probably kind of tell.
Yeah. I was gonna say he looks
It
so
was,
happy to be there.
well, he's been a very open and loud Microsoft critic for
Yep.
many years. When the Windows 10 store first came out, he was in the news all the time.
Mhm.
They're trying to steal my business. Blah, 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 crazy guy. So, how open is their new store? Open enough to please Tim Sweeney. And by the way, tell me you didn't think about that in terms of Windows 10 when you heard them talking
That
about
was
that. Right?
yep.
So, we'll
Yeah.
go
No, I was gonna say, I briefly chatted with Mary Jo this morning, and we were talking about how it kind of seems like UWP is really dead because there was some gaming stuff that came out
ahead.
that I wrote up this morning about how you can now Microsoft tested downloading games from outside the store that installed DirectX, which totally blows apart the whole store model. Their
Right.
browser that they're releasing is not coming as a UWP app. They're basically letting anything in the store now, as long as it's in a package. And then they come out on stage and say, hey, look, HoloLens supports any store as a first-party client. You don't have to go through
incredible.
us.
Yeah, that's incredible.
It don't get me, I think it's a good thing personally, but it really just kind of says to me that the store model is just kind of
Yeah, right. I looked at kind of in the abstract the notion of bringing a mobile app store type store to a Mac or a PC. It seems like a great idea. I think the thing that Microsoft screwed up was having it in the beginning be tied to
yeah.
a brand new app platform nobody wanted to use.
Yep.
And I don't know what this means. I mean, you could. the premise of the store is still good, right?
Right.
A place to get known good apps that you know are going to be reliable and secure. You can do one click on install. Still makes tons of sense, right? So I wonder, it's impossible not to think they're going to make this change to Windows 10 as well. You know, it's interesting.
Yep, it is. It really is. That was when he said that. It made sense for Microsoft too, because this space is wide open, right? There's nobody really else playing with them. We know that other companies are working on these products, but basically what Microsoft just came out and said is, we want people to buy our hardware. They can get their software from anywhere else, and then hopefully they're going to buy Azure services as well. That's it.
Yeah, it seems impossible. Well, I should say, I obviously some customers will be able to use a HoloLens without Azure, but those things, I mean, there's going to be today, so many supporting services.
Yeah, the version that they launched today, there's no reason why you would. I don't know what you would do without that back end support.
That's right.
I guess you could look at Mozilla Firefox to your heart's content.
I mean, the way the world has evolved, yeah, you could use you could browse the web. You know, even if a customer doesn't understand they're using Azure, they'll probably be using Azure backend. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like it's just inconceivable because the developers creating apps are going to be using that stuff. I mean, it's just, I don't think it's going to be, you know, I mean, it will be literally possible, but it will be hard not to use Azure. And you know, why wouldn't you want to?
Right. No, I mean, I tend to completely agree. So.
Yeah.
All right, Paul, you got anything else for your extended walk into Barcelona? Have you had any delicious treats? I've seen lots of good pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, despite this kind of, you know, the quickness of this trip, you know, my wife came and you know, when I've been working, she started doing her own thing. But, you know, we've gone to a bunch of places that we're familiar with already and seen some people, and it's been pretty good. I just said to her today, we were sitting by, you know, not the beach, but at the waterfront, looking out at the, you know, the seagulls and the boats and everything. And I was like, you know, this is like the stupidest 48-hour trip, and it honestly, it's pretty great. Like I'm glad we did this, you know. So yeah, well, there'll be a little more of that tonight, and then tomorrow I have to go to the show again, and I'm going to meet with Greg Sullivan.
Gotcha.
So I'll write up something from that. I mean, I'm hoping that kind of takes the form of like an interview type article, but you know, that'll probably be a little deeper dive on what just happened, and hopefully I'll find out when we can really, you know, get going on this thing. 'Cause like, now I want to see it, you know. And have you heard anything about, you know, the real world implications of the you know, like 2x field of view, et cetera?
No, I mean, what I've read and what I've seen so far online is that, yes, it is wider and better. But
yeah,
are we going from
still?
It's. Are we at the immersive stage yet? Which honestly, that might be one of the reasons why it doesn't make sense as a consumer device yet either, right? It's going to have its use cases where you're just looking directly at something, but when you're walking down the road, you need that surround, that peripheral vision of the holograms to make sense of it. So,
okay, yeah, all right,
we'll find out here soon enough.
One quick thing, if you don't mind. I'm also reminded of, I had heard and I had said on some podcast a few weeks ago that this version of the product would do what I call hand tracking.
Yeah.
And the idea was that you wouldn't need to use controllers anymore because you could kind of interact with holograms with your hands and it would see what you were doing. And they did announce that. But the thing that was interesting was in the days before the show, I saw another rumor that said, oh, no, it's going to have eye tracking.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, maybe this is describing the same thing because I had very clearly heard hand tracking. But actually, if you look at the way they describe it, it's both.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're both related and interrelated, but they're also both separate. So it does eye tracking as well as hand tracking.
Yep.
I guess that explains that discrepancy. And I'm actually very curious about that as well because, you know, the pinch stuff to me is still kind of goofy. It was goofy enough that it required a controller, really, for most, you know, sophisticated type actions. And now it looks like they're going back. Like you'll be able to. They didn't have a controller on the stage.
Nope.
Not even for 1 second. So I'm curious about that.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
well, you enjoy your walk, and we'll be you don't leave tomorrow, or you leave tomorrow night?
I do. Tomorrow night. Yeah, tomorrow dinner time-ish here. So
We have to do this
for
early.
tomorrow, yeah, we got to talk about this, but it's like an original Fiat 500 just drove by, the old ones. Yeah, it's going to have to be early, and then if we do, if we're able to do it.
Yep.
We'll talk.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
All right, folks. So that wraps it up for today. Paul's enjoying his walk. Hopefully, you're enjoying your Monday, and we'll catch you right back here next time. Oh, it still didn't play. Need to fix that.